Welcome to the Corner Kick Show. I am your host, Nick Prokop, and with me is the stupendous Joey DiNapoli. How you doing today, Joey?
I'm doing great, especially since I've gone from venerable to stupendous.
Well, hey, you're employed now, so hey, we should be giving everyone should be giving Joey congratulations on the new job.
All right, drinks up, bitches.
Tyler couldn't be here today. He's actually playing for his soccer team today, and they had a makeup game for Thursday, so he couldn't make it out. He couldn't make it on tonight, but we'll hear from him next week and in the future. Today, we will start actually with the Copa America from this past Saturday. Argentina came in as the favorite and walked out as losers. Joey, you want to gloat a little bit about this one?
Well, I mean, I can't really gloat. Because I picked Chile to win, and for all intents and purposes, they won. However, under FIFA rules, anytime you go to a penalty shootout, it's considered a tie. So, yeah, even though I did pick Chile 2-1 and Chile did win, it's really not the same as, winning a penalty shootout.
True.
And honestly, I'm not even happier that Chile won. They pretty much, were beneficiaries of some bad penalty taking and, having the home crowd behind them, which, the latter I felt would be the difference in the match anyway. So
that too. Well, one other thing besides that is Claudio Bravo was the only one to make a stop. I mean, they had a lot of help from Gonzalo Higuain making a really bad PK launched into the moon. But Ever Bananga, I don't know why he was the third taker. Honestly, I felt like they should have probably had somebody better than him going up there. But he's actually one of those guys. I don't know how he gets called up to the team, however, because he's not really that good, in my opinion. But he went up and just weakly hit one to the right, and Claudio Bravo called that side and made the save, and that was the only save out of all of them. And it's not like Chile's. I didn't really feel like any of the four penalties by Chile were exactly like, oh my god, woo! But they were good penalties. They were solid, and they got the job done. But yeah, I mean, Chile's first. The big thing for this was it's Chile's first ever championship in any tournament at all. They've never won anything, and so it's kind of nice for them to have finally some sort of honors. Yeah, it kind of is a little bit marred by Arturo Vidal and having the home field advantage, but at the same time, they finally won something, which is kind of nice. Instead of Argentina would have been like their 12th. I don't remember the exact number, but the last time they won was 1993 Copa America. So there's that too, but. Other than that, I was a little disappointed in seeing some of the injuries in the game, but there's nothing really more I could take away from the final. Anything else you had?
I think you have to say too that, and it's already been said a lot since the match has ended, but I feel bad for Gonzalo. He's now known and probably will be known as the guy that cost Leo Messi a World Cup and Copa America title.
Yeah.
If you remember back in the World Cup, he missed a sitter.
That's true.
Right, 10, 20 minutes in the match.
Exactly.
And that might have been the difference, but now he's pretty much the guy that's cost Messi titles, and that's really unfortunate because he's done a lot of great things for Argentina too.
Yeah.
It's just really unfortunate that in times are 2 times now where it's come up to bat that he didn't finish. And it's not to say that the penalty shootout would have ended in Argentina's way. I mean, they still missed another. I mean, like you said, Bravo missed. Like he blocked the one shot. Like he had the one save.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a stretch to say Argentina would have won if Higuain made the penalty kick.
Exactly. I think the one issue is more that play that was towards the end of the match, where he had a kind of a good angle on goal and he hit it in the side netting. I think that was really what most people are really disappointed about, because if that goes in, then it's 1-0 and that's it. There's no penalties. I think that's more what people are saying he screwed up on. So,
most of what I've read is about the penalties, so
okay.
That's just what I've read.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for him too, but at the same time, there are legit concerns in the sense that these are things that a world class striker should not be missing, in my opinion. But congratulations to Chile, Argentina. Maybe next year when you come to the USA, if you're coming to the USA, but that's another discussion for another show. Before we get on to what happened for USA and the women's, let's talk about USA men's and what happened starting Tuesday with the Gold Cup. And even before that, just a quick discussion on Haiti and Panama, since that was technically the kickoff match of the Gold Cup tournament. What were some of your thoughts from that match?
Haiti and Panama?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did as a precursor.
I came to the Gold Cup party a little bit late on that one, so yeah.
I gotta say, USA's got a little bit of a fight tomorrow. I don't think Haiti's great, but they actually took Panama to task to get that 1-1 draw. So I was pretty excited to see goals being scored by, I would say, inferior talent compared to Panama. So it was definitely bad for Panama, because if they lose points against USA, they really need to pick up points against other teams, especially if, say, Guatemala beats Cuba but loses to Mexico and Trinidad. They might end up with more points and be a stronger third-place team. Because I have a feeling Honduras and Panama is going to be a really good matchup after watching USA-Honduras. But yeah, Panama did look a little weak against Haiti. They really needed to take the 3 points in that match to secure basically a chance to get into the next round. We'll see what happens with them in their match against Honduras on Friday, which would be tomorrow or today, depending on when you're listening to this. And USA versus Honduras. Let's get on to that. Oh, that was a weird match for me. Even though they won 2-1, it was probably some of the worst soccer I've seen out of the majority of the team in a long time. Like, there was, I don't even think Dempsey had that great of a game either, even though he scored 2 goals. Honestly, the best player on the field was probably Michael Bradley, and I wouldn't even give him very high ratings either. I'd probably say maybe like a 6.5 if we were doing like a 1 to 10 rating scale on these guys. Like, I would say the majority of the team was somewhere around 4, 5, and 5. I was just, to me, it was just piss poor defense. They just, everybody had very, very bad possession, in the sense that they would get the ball, take a few steps, try to pass it, and then they would just be totally lost in space. What are some of your thoughts on USA versus Honduras?
I have to agree with the assessment that I don't really consider Clint's brace that impressive. I know people want to lose their minds over it and say that, this is for all the haters that didn't think they deserve to be captain anymore and blah, blah, blah. And my response is, you know what? A lot of these players probably should be scoring braces against Honduras. Like, I'm not really that impressed with Clint Dempsey putting into. When they played the friendly match before this, if you remember, he was pretty lazy about hustling up.
Yeah.
And not connecting on chances, on crosses. But sure as hell, when it came to take that penalty kick, he just celebrated that damn thing like he put a bicycle through the net, And honestly, I'm just not really impressed with Clint, man. I'm just not impressed. You're gonna have to show me a little bit more against better teams.
Yeah,
Honduras is good. For CONCACAF, you score a brace against Mexico. I'll give you your just due, but I mean, let's just chill out on all the hyperbole for this match.
Yeah.
Also, Agreed with Michael Bradley too. But it's more or less where he's placed. We're trying to work behind Dempsey and Altidore. I
Mm.
think works out well for him. And Beckerman wasn't doing very well in his position either. So, I mean, what I would do is probably put Bradley back, in central defense,
Yeah,
and throw out Mix in the next match at attacking,
I can see
instead of
that.
flipping it around like they did during the friendly match with two. They flipped Mix and Bradley, and that didn't make sense.
Yeah, that
I
was
definitely
really awkward.
understand having Bradley maybe pushed up a little bit there more,
Hmm.
but Mix as a central defensive mid, it doesn't gel. Uh,
Well,
he's not a guy that I look at and say that he can quickly turn winning the ball into instant offense. Like it's just not. I've never seen that. I don't see it. And Bradley's done it a few times leading up to the last World Cup qualifiers, minus the World Cup itself. He
yeah,
did a pretty good job of it. In the World Cup, he sucked at it. So he's not really consistent, but at least he's proven that he can do it. And he's proven he can do it against teams that are, that he did against in World Cup qualifying, literally, like,
yeah, exactly.
you know. So I don't understand why the shakeup. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. And on top of that, I thought we were done with the 4-4-2 diamond. I was really confused when I saw that picture. I was just like, I thought we were trying to be a little more adventurous, more a little tacking, more on the front foot. Like if they were going to be anything similar to that, I thought it was that 4-3-2, 4-1-3-2 that they had, that where it was like you technically had 5 attackers and 5 defenders, in the sense that it was like you had the two, instead of like the 2 shuttlers, you had 2 more of like wing players, um, and then the 2 strikers, and then Bradley kind of like free for alling behind them. Um, that was kind of what I thought, because that's the formation they came out against Germany in, and that's what I kind of figured. Okay, maybe we're gonna play this a little bit more, but then they go back to the diamond against these teams, and I was just kind of like, okay. um,
Can we
I
also talk about how bad Timothy Chandler's passes were too? I mean, they're bad. I mean,
The whole team was bad, dude. Come on.
I know, and I'm about to like ream when the goal happened for Honduras. Who
Yeah.
it was?
Ventura Alvarado.
Yeah, I mean him, Brooks, and I want to say what?
Jossie Zardes.
Who? Johnson was playing left back, right?
Well, Johnson was, but Zardes was the one that was right in front of Brooks. That
Okay. Well, let's okay for whatever argument. Let's just say they need to fucking communicate with each other
yeah,
because they left a ton of fucking space open, and then when one guy went to close, it just opened up another door. Like
pretty much.
guys, yeah, I mean they no talk to each other. Like, come on, man. Like this is not your first match together. Just
Yeah,
talk.
and I don't want to give them the young excuse in this case, because they should know better, especially the 2 guys we're talking about. In the sense, Alvarado has been playing significant minutes for Club America in Mexico, which is not a bad league. It's a very tough league, and John Brooks has been playing very significant minutes in Berlin in the Bundesliga. So these guys should be smart enough to know what's going on. And I don't know what it is, but
It's
even
communication. It's
yeah,
communication. You guys, the strongest asset of a back line is being able to communicate with each other.
sure.
Because they as a back line, you have to be organized and you have to know that everybody's on the same page. And you all have to like maintain a shape at all times. You can't just go fucking willy nilly and like
Yeah.
step up because you see all this open space and then it just your back door gets open. Like you gotta see things before they happen.
Yeah. Even when, honestly, Fabian didn't have a good game either, which is shocking because he's usually one of the most consistent players on the team. Um, but no, and another thing I wanted to point out besides the communication was more that I felt like with Zardes, because he was the one that was right in front of Brooks at that point. I felt like after Klinsman publicly said something about his defense, like I felt like when he was in the game, he would purposely like run back quickly to try to take up space and not really know what he's doing, though, unfortunately. to kind of like get in a hole in front of someone just to show like, hey, I can play defense, even though he wasn't really playing defense. If you get where I'm going with that on Zardes, but he just kept running back, not really looking where he was going. But it was just really. It was just disappointing, and it's interesting to me because you wanted to bring up Timmy Chandler and his bad passing. I feel like Honduras is kind of like a boogeyman for USA in a way because even in the Hex when they played in Honduras, they lost. Um, that was like the beginning of the hexagonal, and they lost there in Honduras, and everyone was crying for, oh, let's bring back Boca, let's bring back someone else, let's bring all these other players back, and it's like, no, they really just need to figure out what they're doing wrong, and like you said, communication, things like that. And actually, the guy that I'm surprised didn't play, and he has his own issues too sometimes, is Omar Gonzalez. I feel like since now he's the more, I guess, more veteran presence out of the back line, I'm surprised he didn't play in the Ventura Alvarado spot, especially if you're. I get they wanted to play Alvarado to get him cap tied and all that, but I would have probably played him against Haiti, honestly, in the sense that you're playing against like I wouldn't. Yeah, I guess it's a lesser. Yeah, Haiti's a lesser team than Honduras, so I would have expected them to play him against Haiti and get him some time there, and you're cap tying him to get away from Mexico. I'm just shocked by that, and honestly, if Chandler struggles again against Haiti, I feel like they need to bring Fabian to back to the right, and then maybe start Greg Garza against Panama, and get him cap tied too, because he's still not cap tied either, and he's been playing for USA for over a year now. So I kind of want that to happen also. But I liked how Garza played when he came in against Guatemala, so I was kind of surprised that he wasn't brought in. I mean, I get that they wanted a more defensive player on the right. Evans, I don't like Evans that much as a wing defender because he's really good on the defensive side, but he doesn't offer a lot going forward to me. Like there's times where he does some nice stuff, like he did in the friendlies in Europe, but it's not consistent offensive pressure when you're coming from the right on the back there. And that's one of my biggest issues with him. He doesn't give you enough of that. It's only like a once in a great while type of situation, but he is going to make a couple of good defensive plays like he did against Honduras when he comes in. So I don't mind him maybe as like a 10-minute, 15-minute sub at the end of a match or something like that to shut the door on whatever team we're playing. But I kind of want to see if maybe they'll bring Fabian back on the right and give Garza a chance on the left, just because Fabian did not look good on the left either. I don't know what it is, but I really hope Klinsmann just kind of tore them apart after that, because that was, like I said, all 11 did not look good. There was, and you mentioned communication in the back, probably communication throughout the whole team, and that's not a good sign. And Bradley, being the new captain, really needs to step up also and kind of be the leader on the field and show, hey, I'm going to be the leader of the communication here then, and you guys need to pick it up in the back. You guys need to pick it up in the front, and then I'm going to get you guys the ball or whatever, or we're going to get the ball through somewhere to get up front. But, yeah, hopefully tomorrow, Haiti. Anything you expect against Haiti tomorrow?
Well, I just want to say too, we're grasping at straws for fullbacks.
Yeah.
We're putting midfielders and center backs in fullback positions, and honestly, to this point, my opinion is maybe we should run something like a three defender setup with
Okay.
five midfielders. Because Yedlin does have the ability to track back.
Mm-hmm.
That's possible.
I like this.
And it almost calls for it because we have no fucking fullbacks.
Well, it's funny that you say that. Now I'm envisioning it. Alvarado is the right center back, Omar in the middle, John on the left, and then you'd have the wing backs would be Yedlin and Johnson, and then you would have like a trio of like Mix, Michael, and Beckerman in the middle.
Yeah,
and then the strikers up front. Yeah, hey, let's give it a shot.
yeah. Beckerman and Bradley on either side of each other, and have Mix in the middle.
Yeah, I like that actually. That actually sounds fun.
Yeah, it'd be a break from this bullshit diamond.
Yeah, I'm
that
tired of it.
would work, and two, it would solve the fullback problem because we have no fucking fullbacks.
True. One other note I want to mention about this diamond thing.
Teams with more fullbacks.
Wah, wah, wah. One thing about this diamond formation, one of the reasons why I feel Klinsmann went back to it was because Beckerman is supposed to be like the king of that back spot of this diamond formation. And Beckerman's been good and solid, and I have no problem with him, obviously, but he did not look good against Honduras. But the issue I have is we sub him off, you have to change tactics because I don't see anybody else really being good at that back spot like that because they tried doing it with Danny Williams and Morales and Alfredo Morales in that spot last month, and they didn't really do too well, honestly. They're not as physical as Kyle is. They're more finesse defenders, and they don't unless we have another Kyle Beckerman type coming along, which I don't really. Maybe Perry Kitchen eventually from DC United. I don't see anybody else though, and that's going to be an issue in my opinion. Is if we kind of keep sticking with something like this. Maybe your 3-5-2 scenario, maybe like a 4-3-3, which I know is what Klinsmann actually does want to make happen, which I would love, honestly, because I love having wingers, but there's another problem with the whole, fullback issue again. But I don't know what happened with this country because we used to have so many good fullbacks in the early aughts and like the late 90s, and now all of a sudden it's like we don't grow any anymore, and we just have a bunch of makeshift players. Garza at least is a left back by trade. Fabian originally was a left back by trade, but then he got kind of moved around as at Offenheim and other places. So he really kind of moved around as like a right mid, left mid type of player with the club team. So he never fully established himself other than being a left back as a youth player. So that's it for USA for me today. I do want to touch on real quick Costa Rica and Jamaica 2-2 affair yesterday. I was actually pretty excited about that because I like both of these teams going through, and it really showed both of them as strong teams going forward. One of the things I liked about it the most was the fact that Jamaica got some of their wing players in the attack, and it wasn't just their strikers up top that were getting the goals. They were really getting the wings into the play. Costa Rica looked a little interesting without Pinto. Obviously, he's the manager for Honduras now, and actually, I should mention that even though he doesn't have as good as talent as he had with Costa Rica, Pinto had that team very disciplined, and it did look pretty good. In that system that he likes to run, that kind of like 5-4-1 type of scenario. But yeah, back at Costa Rica and Jamaica, I was very excited to see all the attacking players, and just it was straight attack from both sides. There was no we're going to bunker down or anything like that, and it was very exciting to watch. What are your thoughts on Costa Rica, Jamaica?
It was definitely more exciting than fucking Canada and Salvador. That was probably it was honestly. I mean, this should have been the match. This should have been the primetime match, and Canada El Salvador should have been the warm up. It was just the two matches were complete opposite ends of the spectrum of each other.
Totally agree.
I mean, you had some really good team play in this Jamaican Costa Rican match. Costa Rica's defense probably looked a little bit too back for me, but so did Jamaica's. Just, I mean, they both literally looked like they kicked in goals. So for each other, it was at least exciting to watch. And Jamaica looks like a good team. They look like a team that actually might go through with a third spot in their table. Because let's face it, the third group is complete dog shit. Who is it? Guatemala and
Trinidad and Tobago
is getting they're losing 3-1 right now. So it doesn't look like I really don't think Guatemala and Cuba are going to make it out of their group. So Jamaica did a good result by themselves though, giving themselves a point. I think it's going to go a long way towards getting them out of the group. So
Well, teams like I said when we were talking Haiti, Panama, but Haiti, Panama, El Salvador, and Canada, they all need to take points somewhere else now. Just because if Guatemala is able to, if either Guatemala or Cuba are able to win against each other, that's gonna be 3 points. And honestly, if these other teams don't win anything or just keep drawing away, that could be the difference. I mean, if it was one win versus 3 draws, I think the team with the 3 draws would be more likely to go through because I believe that the next qualifier would be goal differential, and Guatemala is probably going to have a -1 this tournament, honestly. But really, it's scary to think that if these teams can't get together and actually win something or at least keep drawing, that if Guatemala in that Guatemala Cuba match, which I think will probably be the worst match, you just mentioned how bad Canada and El Salvador was.
well,
I could easily see Guatemala Cuba being bad match.
okay, Canada and El Salvador was bad because you had one team with a clear height advantage that couldn't take any opportunities to put one goal in at all. They got out hustled by El Salvador. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you like watching small guys win the ball and push it up the field in the final third and whiffing on chances, that's your kind of soccer. That's great. That's exactly what that match was, though. Uh, I'm not I'm not saying that these two teams were bad. It just didn't play out like you thought it would. And Canada was honestly the most disappointing side in the match. So I just want to set the record straight. Nick? Nick?
See what it felt going. Not hearing me?
You there?
This is my.
Are you dead?
You got me again?
Coming back to life very slowly.
Okay, all right. I guess something was wrong with my mic there. But no, I was just saying that Canada, I feel like. What? You're frozen on my screen.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay. Maybe it was. What did you say?
Stop downloading porn.
I might just leave this in. But no, I was just saying Canada. Going into that matchup, I would have thought Canada would have won. Honestly, just looking at the teams and thinking, okay, well, Canada's got a lot of young players, a lot of strong MLS players. I would have thought that hey, they'll go in, maybe score a couple goals, be like 2-1, 2-0, something like along those lines, and win the match. But yeah, I feel like this tournament's going to be a fun one to watch. Though there's been a lot of goals scored so far, and that's just going to keep it exciting, honestly. Any thoughts for tomorrow's match? Well, no, actually, tonight's later on match. For some reason, I thought Mexico was playing tomorrow. I'm like, no, USA's playing tomorrow. Mexico obviously playing Cuba tonight. It's a nice early matchup for Mexico, obviously. What are some of your thoughts for El Tri going in?
Cuba, I am sorry for you tonight. I really wish it wouldn't happen. And honestly, I won't judge you at all if you want to keep 11 guys behind the ball at all times and, try and not get scored on or just let one goal by, because that's pretty much all you have to hope for if you're Cuba tonight. I mean, this is going to be probably another level of domination, or at least the expectation of domination compared to Canada and El Salvador. Just Mexico just outclasses Cuba by miles. So if Mexico doesn't win by at least 3 goals and keep a clean sheet, it's probably going to be a disappointing performance. But at this stage with the groups, all you want to do is get 3 points. So
pretty much, and that honestly in that group, they could get 3 points and draw the next 2 matches, and they're going to win the group. That's how sad it is. But yeah, I'm curious to see what happens without Chicharito. Honestly, I'm curious because I felt like the way they were going to do it was have more of Chicharito was in the middle of the forwards, and you had Vela on the right. So move central, and then have Guardado pushed up a little bit more and play on the left side. Um, I'm curious what actually happens in this because I feel like Herrera's job is on the line here. If he doesn't win the Gold Cup, I think he's out. And if he doesn't make the final, he's definitely out. But I think if he loses the USA, I don't see him coming back. And
Oh, hold on, phone. Time
what,
out.
what happened?
Cuba is without 7 players and their manager tonight.
What?
Yeah, just reported. ESPN FC's John Sutcliffe reported from Chicago, where 6 Cuba players and manager Raul Gonzalez Triana will not arrive in time for tonight's Gold Cup match against Mexico.
So what the hell are they gonna do? Assistant manager and God, 7 players. That's only gonna leave them with what?
Well, it's weird.
16 guys.
It says 7 players, but in the byline here it says 6. So,
Okay.
but I still pretty. That's a big deal to not have 6 players.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, they're screwed.
It says
They're really screwed.
they've attributed it to logistical problems.
Oh so, my lord!
There is probably airline delays or something. I'm not sure, or maybe either, or they could have defected. I mean that
too, and on top of that, you could see that they maybe had a United flight.
Yeah, Kyler Garcia actually defected from the team Wednesday morning, so
okay,
that's at least one.
So is he any good?
You're getting the differentiation between 6 and 7s because they already knew the one wasn't going to be there. Now 6 other players aren't going to make it. So they're without 7 players.
Wow. Is he any good though?
Honestly, it's hard to tell.
Yeah. Well, honestly, when Ozzie Alonso defected, it was hard to tell then too. So, well, it's one of those things. We'll see what happens. Hopefully,
it's not like there's like a way to track like the Cuban soccer league right now.
No,
I mean,
unfortunately. Well, and hey, honestly, I feel like with the diplomatic way things are going with Cuba, that in the future maybe we're not going to have defections anymore, and they'll just sell their players to American teams. But we'll see what happens. I mean, there's that could be a major change for Cuban soccer. Honestly, maybe get a little bit better exposure and play a little bit better instead of losing all their players.
Actually, looking at this, Kyler Garcia hasn't played 1 match for Cuba yet.
What? So he just joined the team just to defect.
I mean, pretty much that was his golden ticket.
Hey.
Shout out to Yenier Marquez though, who's got 123 caps and hasn't defected yet. Good for him.
Good for him, and I hope that if there is ever good enough diplomatic whatever diplomacy going on here, that we could get him somewhere in MLS or something, and somewhere in the US to see him, because that would be kind of cool. But hey, I'm not shocked by this news, and that just threw a wrench into my thought process for tonight. Because you're right, I was thinking, well, if they could get 11 guys behind the ball and maybe let only 1 in, I don't think that's happening now. I think this is going to be like an 8-0 game or like a.
Depending on the players, this really screws with rotation and like whatever playing substitutes you might have had.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, Cuba might get the micro Indochina treatment tonight. I mean, they might lose by 3.
Micronesia.
But it's. I mean, they can look at a 5-0 deficit now, in my opinion.
Well, the funny thing about that what you mentioned is that Micronesia game is probably not going to be recognized by FIFA anyways, because of the fact that it was A youth tournament, and B, Micronesia is not part of FIFA anyways. So it'll be one of the biggest.
I'm making jokes, Nick. I'm making jokes.
I know. But the funny thing is though, is if it really did happen to Cuba, it could be one of the worst losses actually recorded by FIFA. So that would be kind of funny, is you could see the worst loss ever in FIFA, 38-0 Mexico versus Cuba. All right, that's about it for now. We'll talk more Gold Cup next week's show because obviously there will be more matches in, and actually by then we'll have the quarterfinals set up because there'll be the whole done. So we'll hopefully know all the matchups and see who, if we predicted correctly last week, who goes through and all that good stuff. But let's go to the coup de grace, the best thing that happened in the world this past week, and actually the best thing that happened in sports this last week. USA women played in the final versus Japanese women 5-2, with 4 of those 5 in the first 20 freaking minutes. I don't know what to do with myself right now. That was a fantastic match. They were just scoring goals at will. Carly Lloyd just beast moded the whole friggin' field. I I I was just in awe, and that last goal by Carly from almost 50 yards out was just like the icing on top. It just put a little cherry in there. Boom, we're good. Game over. We win. I just am so happy for them that there's no more wait anymore to, oh my God, it's been since '99. Well, there's no more of that anymore, obviously. And if they can go to the Olympics next year, when they'll be the first time in a while where they've won a World Cup and then Olympics back to back. But Carly Lloyd, man, Carly Lloyd, Joey.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. You asked me last week who my MVP was going to be for this match or for the tournament, and I said the one that had the game winning goal in the World Cup. It was Lauren Holiday, but yeah, Carly Lloyd's my MVP for the tournament. I mean, holy hell! I mean, she turned it on at the right moment, and you could tell she was feeling it. Like it was
Oh yeah.
probably one of the best athletic performances that we've ever seen in any sport. And we're not going to really, I don't know if we're really going to appreciate the weight of this until time goes by, because this, it what she did was so hard to do, to
Yeah.
score a hat trick in the first 16 minutes, and that bomber goal that she had. I mean, I thought she was setting up for a cross. I
Yeah.
was at Hemlock screaming more, and I thought in, the law pass, and the next thing I know, it's going off the goalkeeper's gloves and in. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I call that shit.
The one phrase that comes to mind from that performance, though, is literally she put her team on her back. And I hate that cliche so often because so many people are like, oh, well, so and so, like Peyton Manning put his team on his back and just took them all into the Super Bowl. Where literally Carly Lloyd was just carrying the team in that first 20 minutes there. And you mentioned Lauren Holiday technically had the game winning goal. And not the steez on that goal either. That was a really fantastic volley in the midair, just off of I believe it was across to her, and she just kind of jumped in the air and just knocked it in. And I was just like, wow, that's impressive too. And I wow, I this was more than I expected, honestly. Like I was thinking, okay, it would be like a 2-1, 3-1, somewhere in that range. Respectable score. Japan gets on the board. We're good. No humiliation or anything. But this was like they were out for blood, and I loved every second of it, honestly. And the best part about this was not only was that the most watched soccer match of anything in the U.S. Um, it beat last year's record by Portugal USA and just set a new record. The best part about it, and this was shocking to me, the ratings that it showed were higher than the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup, which are fairly well regarded final tournament matches in America. So to have a U.S. women's soccer team, not just a soccer team, but a women's soccer team get that much of a draw and that much support. Some people will say, well, faux patriotism came out, or more the patriotic side came out and to watch instead of like actually caring about the sport. But other than that, I would definitely say that there it was definitely interesting win there, and I lost Joey. So cut. All right, he's back. Well, I just kind of did
I hate the Uverse, and it's fucking horrible. I've had the fucking cable man come out already once this week and get it fixed, and apparently it's not fixed. So, yeah.
this wonderful 5 US. Yeah. 99 better. And everybody I'll be watching that to be actually a pretty just everyone. Joey! I'm probably cutting this part out anyways because he got lost. His internet went down, and he came back, and now he's gone again. But he's there, but